Order. Order. The Honourable Tim Grosser.
Mr. Speaker, as the country starts a process of sifting through from nonsense to reality, and it will take some time. We've just had an outstanding illustration of encyclopedic ignorance. I just would like to thank, at this early stage, the many New Zealand officials who've gone just about to the ends of the earth to defend New Zealand's interests. I'll only mention two of them. The two chief negotiators that have been advising me since I held the Minister of Trade title, and they are two outstanding New Zealanders, Mark Sinclair, our current ambassador in Tokyo, and Dr. David Walker. But through them, of course, I want to extend our thanks to the many New Zealand officials from numerous agencies, Ministry of Health, TPK, Attorney Generals, MFAT, MPI, and many others for their incredible personal dedication to this. Having said that, Mr. Speaker, it did cost a pretty penny to do it. I don't think we've ever had as many New Zealand officials go to as many meetings, and I can tell you, thanks to a question that Mr. Russell Norman provided me, and I've given him the written answer this morning, we can actually tell the House how much it cost. And the figure for 3 years of all travel, accommodation, airfares, cost $3,655,163.18. So the question is, Mr. Speaker, how are we going to pay for this? And the answer is bechamel sauce is going to pay for this. You see, I just need to get some body language from you, because I don't know whether you were, when you were in Gay Paris, parlez-vous français.
The member needs to be very careful not to bring the Speaker into this debate.
Actually, it's white sauce. White sauce is what it is in English, and it's from a tariff line HS 2103.90.13, and it doesn't include the big kahunas of mustard, ketchup, and mayonnaise. But the beautiful thing about white sauce, which I didn't even know we produced, let alone exported until yesterday, because we didn't start this negotiation thinking we've got to do something for white sauce makers in New Zealand, is that in the first year alone, the tariff savings on white sauce to one country, Japan, are $3.96 million. But they are doing God's work here in Aotearoa. They are white sauce manufacturers, whoever they are. But of course, there's a lot more than just, so is this, $4 million for corporate greed? Well, hang on a minute. How will we make white sauce? Well, according to my understanding, what you do is you need some flour. So if it's farmers in New Zealand producing the flour, at the margin, this is going to create, as we expand our white sauce exports to Japan, more jobs, more income. And if it doesn't produce more jobs, it'll be higher productivity. But if it's imported, there'll be truck drivers driving more flour to wherever it is this is made. There will be people inside the factory that have to put it into containers. There will be accountants in Hamilton or wherever that will have increased demand for service. This is how the real economy of New Zealand creates wealth, creates jobs, and creates opportunities for our country. And I'll give you another example. Apples to Mexico. Now, we export a rather pathetically small total of apples to Mexico, 500 tonnes. And the reason why our exports are very small to Mexico has got nothing to do with the quality of New Zealand apples. I don't want to start a diplomatic incident by describing what I think of American apples, but anyone who's ever eaten one will have their own view. The apples from Hawke's Bay and Nelson are the finest apples in the world. But they haven't been able to compete, Mr. Speaker, in the Mexican market, a market of 118 million people, because the United States has had a preference. And the United States exports 300,000 tonnes of apples to Mexico. So I don't know what our guys will do, but if we're still only exporting 500 tonnes in 5 years' time, I will be astonished.
Grant Robertson.